Hey guys, KYT here with another video. We're going to talk about something a little different than I'm used to on this channel, retirement ETFs, specifically the offerings from BMO, namely ZGRO.T and ZBAL.T. As always, if you haven't started investing yet, make sure to check the links in the video description below where you can join Wealthsimple, join Questrade, and once you fund your account, they're going to give you extra free money to boost your start. So it's a great start to your investing journey. It's quite the popular take that as you get older, as you get closer to retirement or post-retirement, that you want your portfolio to generate some level of yield of income so that you can use it to spend and fund your lifestyle. Now, in a few of my last videos, I had mentioned an alternative, a total return style, where you don't really care about the specific amount of yield that you get and you just sell shares as required to be able to fund your lifestyle. And here I just put a table together. It's not comprehensive, it's just highlighting certain key points I want to talk about for the purpose of this video. So the yield approach, you do not have to sell shares. A commonly stated psychological benefit that passive income investors talk about a lot is that they just get money every month or every quarter and they don't have to actively do anything to get that money. It's automatically generated from their portfolio. Now the other side, the total return side, so why would you not do that? Well, the pro of the total return side is that you're more diversified. Generally, the higher yield stocks are coming from banks like finances, energy stocks like Enbridge, utilities, consumer staples like Coca-Cola. So by having a more total return style, yes, you'll have to sell shares to meet your needs, but you're going to be more sector diversified, generally speaking. And then you have more control over how much to withdraw year to year, and that can be seen as a good or bad thing. Good thing if you want that control, bad thing if you're someone that is pessimistic about the way you're going to do it. Maybe you're scared that you're going to mess it up, so that's why it could be seen as a bad side. And these aren't pros and cons that I just came out with out of the blue. Vanguard and its article Total Return Investing, a superior approach to income investors, they agree with these pros and cons. So this begs the question, is there a product out there that marries the pros of each, right? That has that sector diversifications, like all the all-in-ones that we talk about in this channel, like XQT, but also eliminates the need, this extra step of selling shares. And BMO actually came out with these new products recently. So BMO came out with these ETFs in early March, these easy-to-use retirement ETFs, ZGRO.T, ZBAL.T, and ZMMI. We're going to focus on the first two because they are just a slightly different version of the ETFs that we recommend a lot on this channel, these asset allocation all-in-ones. So ZGRO.T is exactly the same as ZGRO. I've compared the fact sheets, their holdings. They hold the exact same thing. It's just that ZGRO makes sure that they have a 6% annual payout that's paid out monthly. The management fee is also the same. And just make sure when you're checking, when you're comparing these two, that you're on the right one. Like when I first talked about these ETFs in a forum, people were confused. They didn't find the correct one. So for example, here's ZGRO. This is a regular version. It only pays out 2.29% in terms of its annualized distribution yield, whereas ZGRO.T, again, close to that 6%. This is 5.84. Now, if you don't really understand where the 6% comes from, it confuses you, I recommend reading up on the concept of total return. If you're a fan of how I explain things, then you might want to check out Global Index Investing versus Passive Income Investing and The Illusion of More Shares and Total Return Investing, where I do dive into the total return, what that means and how it's calculated and how that impacts what you do if you sell shares, etc. After we've gone over these a bit, to summarize who I think these are for, these are obviously for people who value that monthly income that they get from their portfolio. And they're also for people who don't necessarily want to stock pick or ETF pick. They can have this one big ticket solutions. These are all-in-ones, of course, to be globally diversified. They don't have to pick stocks. They don't have to pick different bonds. They just go with one of these and they're ready to go. And another thing, these are new and there are going to be new products that are going to come out in the next couple of years, in the next decade. And again, these are only two of the main 5 all-in-one ETFs. Like for me, if I did want that automatic distribution, I would want to have ZGRO.T. Knowing me, if you've watched this channel, I want to be 100% equities. So there's not that many options. There is one more ETF I want to talk about really quickly, and I want to give Jake Spears a shout out. He's a moderator of an ETF investing group that I'm in and always provides useful information. He told me about VRIF, Vanguard Retirement Income ETF portfolio. The MER is higher than the BMOs we talked about, the BMO ETFs, but this is because it is more active of a fund. It's going to decide how to allocate its fund based on what it thinks will perform better. Its bond and equity split is not set in stone like the BMO ETFs that we just saw. So if I scroll down to the portfolio allocation, you can see at this current time, it thinks something like 31% stocks and 69% bonds is better moving forward. But this is another option to consider for someone that wants a more active version. While I think the cost is still fairly reasonable, and this is something to consider, I prefer something that's completely non-active and has lower costs. So I would definitely go with one of the BMO options that we talked about. If forced to make a choice between these three, I, of course, would go with the highest equity version, ZGRO.T, and call it a day. To end this video, I do want to talk about total return investing just a bit more so that you can decide for yourself, have a better idea of which route you want to take. I briefly showed on the screen the Vanguard article, but now I'm going to show you some direct passages from it. So total return, there's tax efficiency as an advantage. Investors with a total return approach may pay less in taxes because part of their payment comes from capital gains, which are taxed at a lower rate than income. Dividends that you get in an unregistered account, in a personal account, you might be taxed more favorably instead if you sold shares from them. Right? This is, of course, irrelevant when we're talking about registered accounts. In TFSA, dividends you receive are tax-free, and when you sell, it is also tax-free. So this is really focused on unregistered. And something we did talk about, more control over the size and timing of portfolio withdrawals. With a total return strategy, investors may have more peace of mind because they can spend from capital gains in addition to portfolio yield. Numerous studies suggest that if you follow a disciplined withdrawal plan under a total return strategy, your savings could last years. So suggesting that that's the best approach if you want a higher longevity for your savings. And I think that's an eventual video. I'm just like so far away from retirement that I haven't been motivated to do that video, but ultimately how this would look like, I think is something at least a few of my viewers would be interested. Like, how does it work in practice, this variable total return strategy where you're selling a different amount of shares over time? I mean, it sounds complicated and definitely probably needs a video where I go over it. And if you want to see that video, please chime in the comments. That will motivate me to do the research that is required to make it very comprehensive. So with that said, I will see you in the next one.